Okay, so we are quickly just going to look at what is a debtor, what are credit sales, and then also what happens within the debtors control account, just to get a better understanding of debtors before we jump into the debtors reconciliation. So first of all, choose the correct words in the brackets to make the statement true. The first one there is a debtor is someone who buys what from a business. So a debtor is a person who buys from the business on credit, meaning that he does not make payment immediately. We have to wait for our money. There's a delay in payment. So then 1.1.2, credit note is the source document for what? So remember, whenever we issue a credit note, it means that we are decreasing the asset, because in our books, assets decrease on the credit side. So that means that our debtors will be issued with credit notes because our debtors are assets and assets decrease on the credit side. So credit note goes with debtors. For our creditors, we will issue a debit note on our side when we return goods to them, because we are saying that we no longer owe you, therefore we are debiting the liability account. Debtors, you no longer owe us because you have now returned the goods to us, therefore we will credit your account. That's why it's a credit note. Then the balance of the debtors control account must match the balance of. Question is, what is a debtors control account? A debtors control account is me saying that I have now sat with all my subsidiary journals. I've recorded all the source documents in those subsidiary journals, and I then calculated the totals of the subsidiary journals, and I posted those as a summary to my debtors control account in the general ledger. Because remember, the general ledger is a summary of everything that happened within your journals for this year. Then what we also do with our subsidiary journals is we have to remember that we also need to keep track of all the debtors transactions per individual debtor, because I need to be able to go to a debtors account and I need to see what invoices did I issue to this debtor, what payments that I received did I receive in order for me to see how much this debtor still owes me at the end of the month, because I obviously want to collect my money. So I take my subsidiary journals and I post all of those transactions to the individual debtors accounts in the debtors ledger. Once I'm done with that, so the debtors ledger is then summarized in my debtors list. So just like we have with our general ledger, we want to see only the balances and the totals of all the accounts within the general ledger. We then prepare a trial balance. For the debtors, we also want to see, without looking at all these transactions, we just want a quick overview. How much do they owe me? So then I will have a debtors list with all the names of my debtors and whatever they owe me. Therefore, the balance of the debtors control account must be the same as the debtors list, because the source document is the same. Remember, we said we take our source documents and we then record the transactions in the relevant subsidiary journals. Then we take those subsidiary journals and we post it to the general ledger and we post it to the debtors ledger. So I need to see the same information in both general ledger and debtors ledger. It's just going to be in a different format. So that's why the two have to agree. Right, now let's look at a debtors control account, because we need to understand what is actually happening within this account. So if I'm looking at my balance on day one, balance on day one means that prior to October 2023, some debtors purchased goods from me and they didn't make payment immediately. resulted in them being a debtor, therefore included in my debtors control. And these debtors haven't yet made payment for the goods on the 1st of October. So purchased prior to the 1st of October, but I still haven't received the payment from them. Therefore, on day 1 of my current month, my debtors owe me 4,400 Rand. Then, by the 31st of October, they purchased more. That's the sales there recorded in the DJ. Those are my credit sales. Sorry, I just want to see why this thing is not actually drawing. Oh, there, suddenly it woke up. Okay, so I need to also have the information regarding people who purchased from me during the current month on credit. So that's what the DJ is there. Then if we look to the credit side, so remember debtors, the more they buy from me without paying, the more I debit their accounts, my asset is increasing. Whenever they make payment to me, they owe me less, so I credit their account. And that's why we have bank here on the credit side. So bank on the credit side of debtors control is people who previously purchased from me on credit, now making payment towards their accounts. Debtors allowances is people who purchase from me on credit as recorded in the DJ, didn't like what they purchased, there was something wrong with it, whatsoever the reason might be, they have now returned the goods to me. So then I also credit the debtors control account because I have my goods back in stock. Therefore, the debtor can no longer owe me the money because the debtor no longer has my goods. So that's what your debtors allowances is. Then, when we're looking at sundry accounts, on the debit side, that's anything that will increase your debtors other than credit sales, because that goes to the DJ. Or, for instance, you could have a situation where you paid something on behalf of the debtor, and that will go to CPJ or PCJ, depending on where payment was made from. But for other reasons, such as you charged interest on this debtor's account because his account was overdue, or maybe you made a transfer from a creditor's ledger to the debtor's ledger. Could be that there was another correction that you had to make. That could result in this debtor's accounts then increasing. So that's what sundry accounts or then journal debits is. Then a decrease, the most obvious one is a debtor who has been written off as insolvent, or maybe your debtor just can't make payment and he disappeared because he's avoiding you now. Then you are also going to record that in the general journal, and it will be a journal credit. Could also be that it's a correction that you made, or it could be that you transferred a debtor's balance to the creditor's ledger. Okay, so transfers, errors, or then bad debts. Debit side, transfers or corrections made for errors previously made, or it could be that you charged their account with interest. Just keep in mind that this one over here, your bank, we now know that for us, it's no longer only bank, it is bank and discount. So you have to include both in this line over here. So it's bank and discount. Sorry, this thing is not working with me right now. And discount. Okay, so that's understanding your debtors control account. We will look at our debtors reconciliation next.